What's going on, guys? So, chapter 391, we actually get to see who Arthur's going to be fighting, who's going to be coming out the portal, which is cool because I didn't really want to go back to the Lances. I kind of wanted to go and see who Arthur's going to be fighting. Now, my prediction, which was I thought that obviously Arthur's strong enough, he's too strong to be able to fight a retainer, and the size are cool, you know, they're strong, but he can probably take out a scythe, maybe two, right? So I was thinking that it was going to be one of the sovereigns, one of the Asuras who had came with the Grona down to Alacria, and so I thought it was going to be Kiros, the guy who was fighting, who was there, who told Cadell that he needed to, you know, fight Arthur even though he didn't want to, and, you know, to not end it too quickly. And so he didn't show up. We actually get these new group of people that we've never seen before, and they're called the wraiths. So it's 5 of them, and they seem like they've been fighting for a really long time, you know, because of how cohesive they are together. But anyway, at the beginning of the chapter, we just get to see more of the struggles that Arthur's going through with, you know, having to bear most of the responsibility, being the most powerful. So he's kind of thinking about, you know, whether or not, you know, how he should handle who comes out. You know, he need to get it done quick so that he can go maybe get back to the Lances, because he's not sure if they're going to be okay fighting against their enemies, you know, back there. And so, you know, back that dilemma of just like, you know, what to do, you know, the struggle of just trying to figure out what to do. But, you know, he just pushes all that aside and just like, you know what, I just need to go here, deal with this, and then, you know, worry about that stuff later. You know, that's the only way he can really protect everybody, is to deal with who's coming out of the gate. And so these people, they show up and they just kind of just chill, you know. So it's 5 of them, and so we got the names, right? We've got Richmo, Ulrich, Blaze, Valeska, and Ethiok. And they all have pretty different abilities, different roles and whatnot, but they're just chilling there. They're just like kind of like confident, like, oh, so this is the guy who killed Cadell, you know, we need to you know. And then it seems like Richmond is the guy who's the leader, you know. He's just like, let's not waste any more time, waste any more words, let's just finish this stuff. And so we get the fight. And so the fight is pretty intense, it's pretty crazy. I really love how it's kind of described, like you can just kind of, you know, exactly what everybody's doing, you know, kind of like the attacks that they're going. And so you know, it's a pretty detailed fight. And so I mean, the way that Arthur started off the fight was that he just immediately had his sword enveloped with destruction and was kind of just going to town against all their attacks, you know, blocking their attacks, cutting their attacks and whatever. But, you know, he slowly starts to realize, like, hey, they're not really giving him a lot of time to you know, to catch his breath, to respond. Like, they're not giving him an opening at all. And so he eventually decides that he just need to let Regis out, and Regis is going to help him, and Regis is going to fight, and then he's going to kind of do his own thing without the destruction, you know, because that's his most powerful ability. And like I said, it's a pretty crazy fight. What is it called? Burst step. He's burst stepping all over the place. You know, they're catching him out of air while he's burst stepping. He's using God step all over the place to try to maneuver and get out of things. And just trying to summarize this fight, because I don't want to really go into like so much detail. Like, you can read the chapter and you can see how cool it is. But you know, basically it gets to a point where they're kind of losing, right? They got arms cut off. You know, he's slashing throats, slashing sides, and whatnot. Some of them can heal. We know that Richmo, it looks like Richmo can heal, but we don't really see other healing from anybody else. But another thing that they had mentioned was that, you know, Uto's memories are also a factor into it. He's the one that the memories is what gave them the name of the wraiths, right? And then also we get to see, or we get to know about some vision Richmond killing another dragon. And so what I'm thinking is that he killed the dragon during maybe the attack. Remember when they had the attack against the Grona and they ended up failing? I'm thinking that maybe the wraiths were the ones that were responsible for killing some of the dragons that went after them. But we don't know for sure. But I'm just kind of speculating. But yeah. So Regis is kind of doing this thing, getting hurt. Because like I said, when he uses the destruction rune, he he's half mad and he's not really caring about his defenses and stuff like that. And so like that's a good thing and a bad thing because he's more reckless, right? And so he's doing damage, but he's also taking a lot of damage too. And so basically at the end of this, Arthur's doing pretty good, dodging everything, not letting himself get hit too much. But it's just one part where he starts to worry about Regis a lot because Regis is getting pretty pummeled. And the moment that he is start to focus on Regis is when he leaves himself open to a spike coming after him. And so he dodges at the last second, and it hits his horn from his armor, and it shatters. And then I guess one of the shattered pieces of the spike goes towards his face, towards his jaw, and then it hits him with it, and then he kind of like hits against a pillar, and then he's kind of dazed, and then that's what caused him to get sucked into like the pool of the sickly green slime. And that's kind of like keeping them in, that's kind of pinning them down. Then they got like these more spikes with electricity encoding them, and they're just kind of forcing them down, so he can't even feel the god rune, try to god step anymore. And so that's basically what get him into a lot of trouble, and then they said something about how they needed to hurry up and like let Agrona know why he's pinned down and stuff like that. So it gets pretty crazy. So they've got Regis trapped. Regis is trapped, and he's kind of getting withered away. Now he's a wisp again. So he's really getting all the ether and stuff sucked out of him. It's looking like he's in pretty bad shape. Like he's in trouble. Like if Arthur doesn't do anything, then he might just cease to exist. All his ether would probably be gone, and he might be gone at that point. We don't really know for sure what happens. It was only that one time when they was on the platforms, and all the platforms just sucking all the ether out of them. And that was when Regis kind of went like, was dangerously close to losing consciousness or just losing himself just completely. So we don't know for sure exactly what will happen, but maybe he'll probably be gone if he loses all his ether, But we finally get to see the part that we actually predicted, right? So I'm pretty sure people thought, and they already knew, that because of Realm Heart, and he's only like partially understands the way that the Realm Heart ability works now, that he can see the mana, but that's it to the extent. I mean, they also noted that he could see like the differences between the Vitra and everybody else's mana, because the Vitra's mana, their mana is more like a sickly dark color, and so he's able to like distinguish the differences between the two. But so I mean, we predicted that he's going to be able to maybe control mana at some point with the ether. And so I was thinking like that should probably happen soon at some point. I didn't think it would necessarily be needed during this fight, just depending upon how strong they were. I didn't think it was gonna be like a 5-on-1 fight. I thought it was gonna be just like maybe one, maybe two people that's like really strong, but no, like it's a 5-on-1 fight. Like I said, these guys, they've been, they've probably been fighting together for hundreds of years now, so they kind of know everything about each other, strengths and weaknesses, what they need to do. And I mean, it kind of shows during the fight, like they're just kind of like in sync with like everything, right? Making up for each other's weaknesses. When somebody get hurt, they're dragging them back and stuff like that, getting them out of the way. But then while they're getting dragged back and getting out of the way, they're still, producing their spells and helping out and everything. So it's like, the teamwork is just kind of like the best of the best. But going back to what I was saying before, So yeah, so he finally is able to. The way it was described is that he can feel the impact or the weight of the mana crashing against the ether, and so now he's able to like see like, I guess, how the mana I guess the ether like forms around the mana, kind of like a glove, like it's kind of like around it, right? And like it's kind of free at the same time. It's flowing and it's free and it's around it or whatnot. And so now he's able to manipulate the ether, which as a byproduct also gives the mana its direction. So when they do a spell, the mana is forming to the spellcaster's will, what they want the mana to do, and the ether's kind of just there, kind of just around it. Like how do I think about this? It's like the ether is around the mana, kind of giving it direction, or kind of like, I'm not really sure. Maybe you guys can kind of better explain it, but yeah, he's finally able to manipulate the ether, which also in turn, he says that there's a curtain in between the mana and the ether, and now he's able to like pull the curtain, and by pulling the curtain, he can kind of control what the mana does also by controlling the ether. So he's not controlling the mana directly, he's controlling the ether, and then the ether is controlling the mana. And so he pulls the mana or the ether, and he gets the spikes to stop pushing down on him, right? And then he also controls the electricity and stops the electricity from reaching him, and then he's able to pull himself apart from the slime, the poisonous, slime that he was trapped in. And so at this point he is pretty broken. Because if he can just cancel out people's spells now, or like somebody like shoots a bolt of lightning at him and he just manipulates the lightning to not hit him but to hit something else, he doesn't even have to move or do anything. He can literally just, somebody try to throw a flame or lightning or a spear or something at him, he can just direct it to go somewhere else and not hit him. I mean, that's pretty crazy. We don't know how much control he actually has. We don't know if he can produce anything, like if he can control the mana around him and make that, or control the ether around him and have that like collect the mana and have it form some sort of spell like fire or something like that. We don't know if he can do that yet, but I mean, as far as of the defensive capabilities, I mean, he can just use this to just completely deflect any attack and not even have it reach him. But I'm interested to seeing what to the extent, like how much further will he be able to do after learning how to, control the ether. So another thing I want to mention too, right, is this the first time that Arthur is actually controlling ether outside of his body, right? Because we know that he can cultivate the ether and draw it in, the surrounding ether, and draw it into his mana core, right, to like refill his mana core. But we never seen him like manipulate like ether around him to like do anything, right? He can't make like steps out of ether or anything. He can form his spear. Now, I guess my other question I would have is his sword. Does his sword form from the surrounding mana or the surrounding ether around him, or does it form from the ether that's within him? Does he like push it out and use his own ether to make the sword, or is it just from the atmosphere? Because if it's just from his own internal ether, then this is his first time manipulating the actual ether outside of him. And so, as a result of doing that, he's able to manipulate the mana too. So it's pretty crazy, like I said, just to the extent like what exactly can he do? Like you remember the spell that Cecilia did to like kind of like repel all of the mana and whatnot. Like she used mana to form that spell, I think. But will he be able to be like, oh, you want to repel the mana? You can repel that mana somewhere else and not repel that around me. I'm just wondering, like, how broken is he gonna be now? So, but anyway. So now he's up, out the sludge. They don't have him trapped anymore. They're afraid now. But I'm curious to see kind of where we go from here. Hopefully we continue on with the fight and don't go somewhere else. Don't take us somewhere else. Continue on with the fight. But yeah, I mean, it was a really good chapter, and I can't wait to see what happens next. And so next chapter comes out Friday. Hopefully I can get the next chapter out or next review out on Friday, maybe Saturday. This has been a long, crazy week, so that's why I'm late. That's why I'm super late getting this one out. But I'm still reviewing the chapters. But yeah, so I'll talk to you guys in the next chapter. Peace out.